Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to today's discussion under the Grizzlies Community Conversation series titled Celebrating and Activating Volunteerism. My name is Michael Wallace, and I'm Senior Editor of Grind City Media and the Grizzlies. You can catch me on most nights broadcasting one of the Grizzlies games, either on radio, TV, or on our website. But I'm also a proud mentor, and the job I have and the role I have today is one of the most important aspects of my job. I volunteer my time each week with the Grizzlies Team Mentor Program, and in my past, I've also volunteered in different outreach organizations from Miami, Florida, all the way to the Mid-South region here. I will be serving as the moderator for today's discussion, and I'm excited to share this time and space with you all, as well as an amazing panel. So please allow me, with no further delay, to introduce our guests. First and foremost, John CARROLL, the Executive Director of City Leadership, whose campaigns include Choose 901, Teach 901, Serve 901, and Give 901. John, I might as well go ahead and throw in Love 901 as well, because that's part of what you do as well with all these organizations. Originally from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, he came to Memphis via Texas 16 years ago to become VP of Ugly Mug Coffee. After several years of side consulting with nonprofits while serving as a pastor at Fellowship Memphis, John launched his own ministry to serve other nonprofits, schools, churches, and government agencies. City Leadership exists to recruit, develop, and catalyze leaders for the city of Memphis. They proactively identify the challenges of other leaders in our city and help find best practices and best solutions possible to more effectively and efficiently achieve their missions. John lives in Midtown with his 4 children. John, welcome.
Next. Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, thank you, John, for being here. Next is ANDREA Hill of Volunteer Memphis. ANDREA is the director of Volunteer Memphis, where she prepares and mobilizes leaders to work together for the good of the community with an emphasis on volunteerism and volunteer leadership. As the sole member of Volunteer Memphis under Leadership Memphis, ANDREA leads a number of Mid-South campaigns, including MLK Day of Service, 9/11 Day of Service and Remembrance, Make a Difference Day, Family Volunteer Day, and Volunteer Memphis Awards. In 5 years, ANDREA has been back in Memphis. She has taken the city to new heights in volunteerism and community engagement. Most recently, ANDREA has worked to develop the COVID-19 Skills Volunteer Leadership Pool initiative with the City of Memphis Office of Emergency Management, Innovate Memphis, and Medical Reserve Corp. ANDREA currently serves as the president of Directors of Volunteers and Agencies, which helps provide members with the competencies needed to be effective volunteer managers. She was also appointed to the Volunteer Tennessee Board and is certified in volunteer administration through the Council for Certification in Volunteer Administration. Welcome, ANDREA.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, listen, this exciting panel, this well-versed panel, this well-experienced panel rolls on with my dear colleague, Abushiri Owofisa. In her 18 NBA seasons and 3rd with the Memphis Grizzlies, Abushiri serves as Vice President of Community Engagement and Executive Director of the Memphis Grizzlies Foundation. As Vice President of Community Engagement, she leads the company's overall community initiatives to help improve the lives of underserved youth and families across the Mid-South region through 3 core pillars: education, health, and fitness and service. In her role as Executive Director of the Grizzlies Foundation, she sets strategy and vision for unique mentoring opportunities, including the Team Mentor Program that I'm a part of, that I serve and I'm proudly serving every single day. Grant making and partnerships that provide a path for youth to be successful. Prior to joining the Grizzlies, Owofisa worked for the Golden State Warriors for 14 seasons and received 3 NBA championship rings during her tenure. That's 3 rings. All right. She's a native of Jackson, Mississippi, and a graduate of Spelman College. Shout out to another HBCU. She serves as mentor at Soulsville Charter School through the Team Mentor Program and is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and WISE Memphis. Welcome, Abushiri.
Thank you so much, Michael.
All right. Last but not least, Jonathan Torres of Memphis Athletic Ministries. Jonathan is, or better simply known by his last name, Torres to friends and family, is the Chief Executive Officer of Memphis Athletic Ministries. Torres entered inner city nonprofit work over 14 years ago here in Memphis. He strongly believes in the potential of our youth and utilizes his faith in Jesus Christ to help give every child in Memphis the opportunity they deserve. Torres has also served as the chairman of the board for Restore Corp, which fights human trafficking in Memphis, and currently serves as an elder of his church. He is also actively engaged in F3 Memphis, a peer-led fitness group with the mission of invigorating male community leadership. Torres has enjoyed 15 years of marriage with his wife, Jana, and they have 3 beautiful daughters together. When he isn't working, you can usually find him spending time with his family, enjoying the outdoors or hosting friends. Panel, listen, like I said, I could read y'all accolades and resumes and all of that fine and fantastic information all day long, but I know we have a lot to discuss and a lot of important resources to share with our viewers and our followers here. So I want to start off by thanking you guys for joining us. But before we dive in for our topic today, which is around the importance of volunteerism, I'd love to hear about your personal experiences with volunteering. So I'm going to start with Andrea. Can you tell us a little bit about your introduction to volunteerism and why it's important for you to stay so involved in this ministry and this mission?
So I have been involved in volunteerism pretty much my whole life. My parents are servant leaders in their own right in our community here in Memphis, Tennessee. And one of the first things I did was volunteer with Habitat for Humanity with my father. And when I did that, I saw the change that you could make in developing a household for someone who did not have that before. And so when I saw that, I said, you know, from here on out, that is something that I want to do in any capacity, whatever type of volunteer opportunity it was, just to give back to somebody, give them something that I have the advantage to have, or at least the information for them to get it themselves. And so that is why I started in this volunteerism space, and not to be outdone by all the great mentors that are on here. I wanted to also share that I'm not necessarily a quote unquote labeled mentor, but I think in this time frame, I've been able to give and share my experiences with younger women, younger African-American females in this entrepreneur, this business world. And that is really one of my biggest passions from here on out. So that was my introduction to volunteerism and a shameless plug to get back into the group with the other great folks.
Torres, can you give us sort of a snapshot of your background and how you got involved in such an important, vital ministry?
Sure. So I grew up actually wanting to be a firefighter. It's all I wanted to do was be a firefighter. I started volunteering when I was in high school as a volunteer firefighter out in Arlington in Station 71. It was fun, learned a lot. However, I just was too small, just to be frank. Couldn't continue in that field. But growing up, my life was changed through a nonprofit organization myself. And so I experienced what it was like to have my life changed through an organization called Young Life. And from there, I fell in love with the idea of working with youth, and I've continued that for 15 years now. And it's a passion that I am a big champion of, is being able to make sure that we're unlocking and unleashing the potential of our kids.
We're talking about unleashing the potential. That's a great point right there, because that's what connects volunteerism as well as mentorship. And then we're doing this in the name and finding ways to also shine a spotlight on social justice and social awareness. So that's what this discussion centers around today. And I want to keep the conversation going in terms of how we got involved with this wonderful efforts that we're doing. Abushiri, can you share what sort of got you onto the on-ramp of opportunities for volunteerism?
Well, my story is a little bit different. I think coming out the womb, I was probably ready for service. My parents are servant leaders. I am a pastor's child. So being involved in the community with church and, staying late for meetings and feeding the homeless and creating, gift baskets for those that are in need started at a very young age. For me, but I think where I realized that volunteerism was really key and crucial for me, in the 8th grade, I joined a program with United Way organization, living in Mississippi. And that program taught me various ways to give back, how to connect with companies and corporations who were doing those opportunities for young people to learn about not only the work there, but how to, manage time and see a difference in people. And I think that's one of the reasons why I, got into the business that I'm in now, because of the volunteer work that I decided to do at a young age. So giving back and volunteering and helping those and being a part of something that was greater than me really took hold in my life.
And Bushra, you bring up some great points too, because I was already volunteering before I even knew what volunteering was. It was just what you were raised to do. It was what was instilled in you by your parents or by your community that, hey, you have a role to play. And it wasn't any fancy titles that came with it. You just showed up and did your part. You know what I mean? Whether it was helping your neighbors or helping friends or volunteering at a church or after school or anything like that. So that's part of all of our fabric. And John, last but not least, I mean, obviously each one of us has a unique way that we got into volunteering. What was your path and your journey towards it?
I think similar to some of you guys, I grew up here in the South, and there was always this kind of care for your neighbor. But I remember our family delivering meals on Thanksgiving Day to families. And I have these really clear memories from elementary school of going to homes. We had homes in elementary school when I was growing up that were nothing fancy at all, but going into homes that where they didn't have as much as we had. And I remember how much that mattered in that moment to those families, and their excitement about that food. And I remember serving at soup kitchens with my dad on holidays or even on the weekends. And then, I was also involved in faith at a young age, and our youth group. It was just kind of the cool thing to do was they would go serve and do different things. And actually we did a service trip. My first time ever to Memphis was to come to Memphis and to work on people's homes. And it's just incredible, life-changing moment to be able to go on some of those trips and be engaged in that. And so it was really, honestly, a contagious kind of lifestyle that was so much fun. All our friends did it, and I had so much fun doing it. Is what we did, hanging out, was serving others, and it's radically impacted the trajectory of my entire life.
John, you used some key points there, and just in terms of obviously creating opportunities and allowing people to serve and to come follow, setting examples. Those are all things that are important to both volunteering and mentoring. I tend to think that volunteering is an action. Mentoring is who you are. So it's one of those things where it's a symbiotic relationship that goes hand in hand. And today's panel discussion is going to center around the importance of volunteerism in our local communities and how they can support the journey to social justice and equity. But however, we're going to celebrate also, this is also National Volunteer Month, which occurs every single April. And thank you to all our volunteers for getting involved. So with no further delay from there, we're going to jump right into the questions that we have for the panel. And we thank you for tuning in, watching, and hopefully you can partner with us as we move forward to impact our community in Memphis here and beyond. ANDREA, I want to start with you as an expert in all things volunteerism. I love to begin our discussion centering on something that I know is important to you. Can you tell us about National Volunteer Month and why it's important particularly to recognize and celebrate our volunteers?
So it's so important because now more than ever, going through COVID, going through the pandemic, we are looking at this community and looking at what we need to do in a little bit differently. So whether you volunteer virtually or you volunteer in person, it all looks different. But what I like to tell people is that, yes, it may be difficult, but it's not mission impossible. There are ways for you to continue to give back and really shine a light and help someone that is in your local community, whether it's 1 hour, 30 minutes, or a whole day. That, when you reflect back on the opportunities that we've had, all of us have shared when we were young, and how it has changed and shaped and kind of molded our whole lives. Think about that as you being a volunteer or you being a mentor. That is the main thing. That is the tangible piece that you can give back to someone else. And they can take that one nugget that they learned from you and speaking with you over the phone, or going to play baseball with you, or even rugby, which I think I really like rugby, as well as basketball, honestly. But those things really can shine a light, and it takes one moment to make a lifetime of change. And so during this April, the National Volunteer Month, it's so important because we want to give back and we want to appreciate the good that's happening. We've seen so many things and so many news stories about some of the bad that's happening, but there are silver linings. There are people who go out and help and support each other. There are folks that will pick up the phone or go cut a neighbor's yard, or just simply sit with a young person and help them with their reading. So all of those things are important. And again, it's that one spark, that one light that can make a difference for a lifetime. And during April, we get a chance to really spotlight and shine a light on that service.
That's a great segue too, because that goes right into what I wanted to ask John in terms of that one spark, that one spotlight. John, your organization obviously meets a lot of volunteers or potential volunteers where they are. There's so many different on-ramps that they could connect with all of the things that city leadership does, from Choose 901, frequently sharing volunteer opportunities. Serve 901's platform encourages out-of-towners to come into town here to Memphis and roll their sleeves up and get involved. Can you talk a little bit about why you chose to integrate volunteering in your organization's model and the way volunteering impacts the city overall?
Well, volunteering is such a key ingredient to impacting others. And the reality is that you just can't buy changing lives. Money can be a fuel for people to change lives, but the way the world is just designed is that people impact people. And so we need more of it. And I think that one of the things, obviously, is there's a lot of need here in our community. We've got a lot of kids who are under reading levels or in need of a mentor. We have a lot of young children who've grown up like I did in a broken home that need an adult figure in their life. And the statistics are crazy about what a mentor would mean for those lives. I'd love to touch on some of that kind of stuff. But I think that all of us just made a point just a second ago that we have to realize is that that volunteering is not just for the person being served, but the person serving gets just as much, if not more, out of the entire experience. And I want people to realize that I'm just as interested of improving the lives of those serving as those being served. And I think that there's a lot of Memphians around here that could be really bright lights in this community if they'd leverage volunteerism as a place to be able to do that. And then not only would they be able to help the person they're helping, but they'd actually really help themselves. And so we're promoting this because we actually think it's a 2-for-1 kind of deal. You help one person and 2 people get improved. So.
No, I mean, great point there. And before I move on to TORRES, I want to go back to something you alluded to. I mean, actions and intentions and having the right mindset is one thing, but there are statistics and numbers that back up why volunteers are needed in this city. And you alluded to some numbers that you wanted to get into. There are 2 or 3 that jump out to mind right now that can help people understand the true impact of what this means.
Well, I think let's just talk about mentoring. You are a mentor. I'm a mentor. Mentoring is a really big deal. But here's the deal. Students with a mentor are 55% less likely to ever skip a day of school. So, I mean, just right there, we know that if you got to be in school to be learning, and so if we want kids in school, let's get them a mentor. And then here's what else is crazy, is that not only are they less likely to skip school, but they're actually 50% less likely to ever start using illegal drugs. They're 30% less likely to ever start drinking. And then not only on the negative things, but on the positive side, students who are mentored, just like we all just said, are 78% more likely to volunteer and mentor themselves one day. They're 90% more likely to be a mentor themselves. They're 78% more likely to volunteer themselves. I think it's 130% more likely to hold a leadership position one day. 76% of young adults who are mentored are more likely to enroll and graduate from college than those who don't. And so it's just, it is crazy how impactful mentoring is. And what's nuts is, you and I know this, we think about it, there's at any given time, we have about 40,000 middle school students in Memphis and about 400,000 adults in the area. So we just need about 1 of every 10 people to get involved in someone's life. And when you think about some of these team mentoring programs that run out of the Grizzlies Foundation, you can get 2 or 3 mentors and be engaging in 5, 6, 7, 8 kids. And so the numbers are really on our side. we just need people to actually do it. And I think we've got to continue to communicate, create clarity for people, because I think people are often confused on how to really go mentor, and they're really worried about, well, what's that going to be like? There's so much confusion in their head that it just paralyzes them from taking any action. And that's our job, to communicate it well, not just how it will impact, but how does the process work of actually becoming a mentor, and what's it going to be like being a mentor, removing all that confusion from people, create a bunch of clarity, and then let people come through. Because I truly believe people listening to this are going, I would mentor, I just don't know where, I don't know how, I don't know when. And we've got to keep ringing that bell.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's what this panel, that's what National Volunteer Month, that's what this panel discussion series is all about, to connect those opportunities right there. And you guys are already doing a phenomenal job with the invitation. So if you're within the sound of our voices, you know that there's a place and a path for you through so many different wonderful programs, which goes to TORRES' program, obviously, Memphis Athletic Ministries. I've been to several of the locations. MAM serves so many different communities in so many different ways, and the outreach is just so phenomenal. We also know that it involves a lot of volunteers to serve youth in some of the most under-resourced neighborhoods in Memphis. This demographic, unfortunately, is also the most impacted by social justice and social awareness challenges and issues. Torres, in your opinion, how does volunteerism support social justice efforts?
I believe volunteering plays a significant role in supporting the social justice movement. When anyone volunteers, they take a literal physical step towards building relationships with others, which brings us face to face with our own biases, with our preferences, which helps us to examine our own lives, helps us examine ourselves, so that we can step in the gap to create equity. We can step in the gap to create equality with those that need it the most. And so the first step is to one, take a step and to go volunteer. And then the second step is to build the relationships. In volunteering, we get to see with our own eyes, you get to see the inequality. You get to sometimes see the injustices, and you get to see the effects, how it actually affects a child, how it affects your neighbor. You get to put a name with that injustice. You get to put a face to that injustice. For example, at MAM, we have hundreds of volunteers every single year. And each one of these men and women gets to interact with a young man or a young woman, and they get to know their name. They get to meet the Breonna Taylors. They get to meet the Mods. They get to know their stories, interact with them. They get to be a part of their life. And then when you can get to meet them and you get to interact with them, it's a little more difficult for us as mentors to swallow the injustice. It's no longer okay for those to just simply be hashtag names. Those are names and faces of kids and people that we love, that we get to build a relationship with. And at MAM, we help our volunteers and our coaches build relationships so that they don't just see the need, but then they get to see the opportunity. Each child we work with is a world of endless potential, of opportunity to change systems, change cities, change generations. And so when you volunteer, you step into a world of unlocking potential and unlocking the beauty of the human spirit. Our research at MAM shows that we have found that one of the most impactful things a person can do in mentoring is to help them set goals, to lay out the steps to achieve those goals, and then hold them accountable to take those steps. Something that simple. And so in doing that, you're creating the support that a child needs to succeed. You're giving them the voice of opportunity. You're helping them unleash their potential. You empower them to find their own voice, and you create a space for justice to occur. And when we create relationships that spur one another towards our full potential, we're shining a light in darkness. We're shining a light on the darkness of injustice, and we're able to kind of bring to light all of the good. We're breaking down the biases. We're breaking down the stereotypes. We're stripping the power of hate and creating a new place and a new space for people to thrive.
As we know, the famous quote from Martin Luther King, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And that brings me back to ANDREA before I move on to her butchery. You've done some remarkable work with the MLK Day of Service all across this city. And when you talk about the youth who are impacted and who are volunteering or who are benefiting from the volunteer efforts, how have you seen sort of the connection between learning the history of Martin Luther King and the sanitation strike in that era with these young people who are right now, even today, seeing protests going on in the streets, and they're seeing some of the things that they once only thought existed in the history books? How do you connect that in terms of volunteering so that they can volunteer in the right way and in the right paths?
Well, I think overall, if you think of it, we all are filling a gap. So our youth have an opportunity to fill that gap as well. And when they see these things that happen in the history books and they say, oh, no, it could never happen now, or, oh, now it is happening now. How do you kind of harness all that energy, all that skill, education, and passion and power that they all possess in the right way, the right avenue? I think when they have started volunteering with us, we also do trainings for them as well. So not necessarily on social justice, but we do have financial literacy workshops. So once you know how to spend your money better, know how to save your money better, then you can go back and actually change your whole household's thought process on financial literacy. So it is opportunity for us to really engage them in an appropriate way, to get their feedback, to get their way that they want to get involved, and it help them mold it. So no, not like our parents may have told us, this is how you do it, this is the way it goes, this is the A, B, and C's of it. This year, this generation are so amazing. And so giving them that ability to think outside of the box that we may want to put them in, and have them have the opportunity to really make change, to enact change, and to help push change, it's an awesome opportunity. And through MLK Days of Service, we've seen young people interact in intergenerational service projects. And so they're learning from someone as they're planting a flower, or they're learning from someone as they're going through a financial literacy workshop. And it's amazing to see these generations come together and teach each other, and also really want to be around each other and really be informed and move forward and move our community forward at the end of the day.
Oh, no question about it. And moving the community forward in lockstep together with a lot of these initiatives, whether it's volunteering or mentorship, is something that I know is near and dear to Abushiri's heart and her passion and her ministry and her mission with the Memphis Grizzlies. Abushiri, I see you every single day, and I know we work with a lot of local businesses and organizations to encourage volunteerism. But in the last few years, the Grizzlies as a foundation and as an organization have launched several different ways to engage and enact, specifically helping our staff, Grizzlies employees, get involved on a number of different fronts. What was your vision and motivation behind the Grizzlies Connect? And I'm a little biased because I'm representing, so I got the Grizzlies Connect t-shirt here. What was your motivation and vision behind that program? And why do you think it's important for companies to encourage their employees to engage in this kind of volunteerism?
Well, first, I'm really glad that the Memphis Grizzlies, our whole, mission, service is a part of our DNA. We care about the community. We're a part of this community. And that's just a natural element of our organization. As you mentioned, in 2018, we went through a bit of a rebrand. We were Grizzlies Cares, and now we're Grizzlies Connect. And thanks for rocking our new brand logo there. But we really wanted to show that our employees, we do care, but the way that we connect in our community was a lot broader. We want to embrace the community in the various ways that we're able to connect and support them as well. And I think employee volunteer programs are awesome. They allow team members, employees, and workers to feel like that the work that they're doing is contributing to the organization's overall success. It's not just about our success, but allowing them to have an opportunity to feel that they are connected to charitable causes that are important to them as well. We know that, having these types of programs can help lead to increased opportunities for employees around productivity, a higher workplace morale, in order, knowing that they're making a difference, also helps them to know that, recruitment for employees. People want to come to companies that care, and to know that, you know, the activities and the projects that are also being done for employees also gives them a sense of new skill development, a new interest, you know, allowing employees to see new nonprofits and organizations that are in need. And hopefully from there, they may be able to say, outside of the Grizzlies, I personally want to be even more involved and engaged, and I want to get my families involved as well. So it's not just us, you know, connecting with employees. Employees oftentimes bring their families to come in and participate, you know, with MLK volunteer days and things of that nature. So to make it now move beyond the employee is, you know, an even greater success. And knowing that, you know, when employees participate in these programs, that it causes a sense of collaboration and camaraderie. So they're able to be even more creative in the things that, you know, they have interest in. And what I'm even more proud of is the fact that, you know, our Grizzlies Foundation has a team mentor program. We've seen an increase of employees getting involved in becoming official mentors. And there are so many, you know, activities and projects that, you know, we share with them throughout the year. Employees also have the opportunity to share with us some things that in the community that we may not have heard of, but we take that extra step to explore and to say, okay, this is a need in the community. This is how they want to get involved and help. And we want to be there to support that. So outside of being, you know, good corporate citizens, we really want to know that the work that we're doing is really impacting not just the community and who we serve, but also leaving a mark on our employees to not just do the work, but also engage more and create that long-lasting relationship.
Yeah, and this is all about, and what you're speaking to is about investment. And you know, we're investing, the company is investing in our resources and our vision, and we're investing in the community that supports the Memphis Grizzlies and all of these wonderful programs and organizations that we partner with throughout the city. It's not about which place gets the most shine. It's all about us collectively working together. And one of the things that comes to mind as I shift this back to a question I wanted to ask John was, how do you get started? He mentioned a question. Okay, so there are a lot of people out there who may be wondering, okay, I may want to mentor, I may want to volunteer, but I'm not qualified. I don't know if I'm the right person. Well, I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what would you have wanted? How would you have wanted someone to impact your life when you were at the most impressionable point and stage of your adolescence coming up? What could someone have done to help you? What did you need at that stage in your life in terms of helping, in terms of growing and maturing as a young person, and then as an adult? You see what the community needs or what's around you in terms of the needs. So John, how do you sort of take the next steps to guiding someone into making that decision about partnering with one of your programs if they say, hey, I'm not really qualified?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. And I think that what happens is that a lot of people are worried that they're going to and wrong. And so they get paralyzed on where to start and where to go and what to do. And I think that there's a lot of volunteering opportunities around them. And they need to be proactive. You can Google really easily, Memphis volunteer, right? And there's opportunities that are going to come up. And obviously there's things like Volunteer Memphis that ANDREA is running, there's all sorts of people that, need to be involved in those kind of things. But I think that I would tell people immediately is that usually if they don't know where to volunteer, they know someone that is volunteering. And so I would go to that friend and say, hey, can I come with you and see what you do? And then I would challenge somebody is, instead of trying to find the right thing on the internet and just say, okay, this is where I'm going to be forever, is to go try some things out, go visit some things, go spend an afternoon over at MAM, go over to the Wolf River and clean up, come down to Grizz Prep and have lunch with Mike and his lunch buddy, and see how those different things are and try some things on and then make a decision. And then lastly, I would say is just don't go alone, right? I mean, you try to do this by yourself and you're going to end up, being lonely and not having a lot of accountability with it, but double it up, take your best friend from work, right? A coworker, like, hey, let's do this together. Engage this with your spouse, grab your brother or your son or your daughter or, your father or your mother, and make it a relational thing where you both go and get engaged and double that time up as well. And so, find somebody you want to do that with, and then get out there and do it. And then just know that you're not going to make a mistake. You just trying it out. And I tell people all the time, just be okay with trying a couple of different things and know that it's not disappointing for us as volunteer leaders for you to come try it out and then you don't want to do it. We're just glad you came and had a positive experience. You'll share about it. We want you to find the right fit where you're willing to give the most time, the most energy, and the most love. And so go find that right fit and go do it.
And the other part of this too, and one of the core points of this entire panel discussion is also the impact on social justice and social awareness. Mm-hmm. And most people associate social justice and social awareness with controversy, something catastrophic that's gone on. But really, indirectly, if you're going out and helping your community, impacting your community, speaking to a young person, helping go somewhere where there's diversity, where there's equity, where there's inclusion, that's social awareness as well. So it doesn't always have to be around particularly a police-involved shooting or a riot or anything like that. Impacting social justice and social awareness can be a positive thing as well too. And Torres, you see that every single day when you see the looks on the faces of the families that come into your centers. Just from a positive perspective, how does that impact social awareness and social justice when it comes to the community coming together like this?
Well, it creates a wave. From what we see, it starts with just one person who has a great experience, comes to one of our facilities, interacts with the kids, interacts with other volunteers. And again, like I said earlier, gets to build a relationship and they get to go tell someone else about it. And they can start an actual literal movement that gets others involved in their community, in their network, their workplace, wherever they might be. And it starts a wave that impacts the entire city. And if we can just get enough of the wave going, I think we're going to see some amazing movement in the city of Memphis. And I think that's why all of us are in the work we're doing, is all of us are trying to get that wave going, trying to push over the first block so that we can really see something happen here in Memphis.
And Abushri, as a major component of this community, the Memphis Grizzlies are connecting those dots and connecting those resources and providing those resources. If you go back to the beginning of this pandemic, the Grizzlies found ways to connect with the Mid-South Food Bank and food ministries and addressing food shortages. We used allowed our players and coaches to partner with that. Then you got into the voting demonstration. Didn't take political sides, but just the voting aspect of how important that is for our community. And now you move forward to everything that's gone on with the health and the safety, the vaccinations and things of that nature. How vital has this last 12 to 15 months been in terms of the Grizzlies stretching its arms around this community in Memphis as well?
Well, just to add on to what Torres shared, when we think about social injustices, we go straight to race sometimes. And it's not just about, race. As you mentioned, Mike, it's about, economic equity, health equity, really trying to find those opportunities to meet people where they are and where the need is. And, through volunteerism, it allows you to be able to gain greater insight on what are the needs, what are the issues. And so by you volunteering, it may even change your mindset in how you approach and work with others. And so, at the Grizzlies, we've been able to, meet with organizations and leaders to understand where the needs are and talk to people to say that maybe one small thing that we do can help change the trajectory for a different outcome. And that's where, we're committed to being able to do that.
Torres talked about the wave. Abushri, you mentioned trajectory. And as we continue this arc of such an amazing conversation, I know we're running out of time here, we're running short. And I want to go to ANDREA as we think about ways that someone could get involved in their local community and become an active volunteer. What advice would you give them? The same way that you do. I know a lot of the organizations and a lot of projects you do, it's a solo, in terms of you being the organizer and having your hands on everything. But when you do partner with external people who want to provide help and resources, what advice do you give to them to get started to sort of assist in that effort?
So it's similar to what John has said earlier. It's around what you're interested in, or even to some of the conversation that we just had, where are the gaps? So if you look at your community, you say, you know what, I see that there is, example, there's a lot of trash out in the community. That may be something I'm interested in, is around environment. And so I want to make sure that I clean my environment and I'm thoughtful of it. Get a group of people together and just go out and clean up. It takes nothing. But if you want to make it even bigger and you want to have some resources, then you collaborate with other organizations that are out there. So Memphis City Beautiful, Clean Memphis are great organizations that are out there doing things to clean up and beautify our community. But you also have MAM, who is an organization that seeks to mentor and tutor young men and women. So if you have a passion, or it's an area that you have a gap in, and you're like, you know what, when I was a kid, I didn't have a mentor, but that's definitely something that I want to do. Then you reach back out to Grizzly Connects or to Jonathan and get started. But it's really easy for us. Well, I say it's easy because I'm a bit of a volunteerism nerd. I think all of it is easy, but it's basically just opening up and saying, hey, is there someone else out there doing it? And how can I join along? It's as simple as that. And with Volunteer Memphis, what we do is we help connect corporations, we help connect nonprofits and volunteers to the service work that is in need in our community. So anyone can reach out to me, or I'm sure anyone on the panel, and we can all connect together and we can do something globally together that can really make a big change in our community.
And to that point, while you're there, stay right there, because I want each one of you guys on the panel here to give the quickest, easiest way that those out there who want or have an interest in getting involved can get involved with your organization. What's the quickest, easiest way? Maybe it's a website, maybe it's a social media site. What's one plug, and I'm not gonna say shameless, hey, hey, listen, let's go out and throw it out there. Let's pop our collars in our chest. Give me one place that these people, all of our people in this community can come find you and your wonderful programs.
Well,
we'll start with Andrea.
If I can bring my Southern reference in, if I can cast my net and catch a lot of fish, I would definitely say go to our website at volunteermemphis.org.
Okay, all right. Torres?
Well, it's the website for us as well. MAM Sports, that's MAM Sports with an S on the end, .org.
Okay, all right. John, you up next?
Yeah, so Choose 901, you can catch us on any of the digital things, but I want to highlight and suggest that you follow and subscribe to our email. So 3 emails a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It is going to catch you up with everything you need to know. And so that's a great place to start. And it's going to plug a lot of these other orgs on this thing and a bunch of other people in town. So go subscribe to that email. It's worth the read.
All right, and a Bushry.
And I'll make it simple. Just follow us at Grizz Community for all things community, as well as volunteer opportunities with the Grizzlies Foundation as well.
Thank each and every one of you guys. As you can see, volunteerism is a critical component of a thriving community. I hope you felt encouraged and inspired to get involved. On behalf of the Memphis Grizzlies and the Grizzlies Foundation, I'd like to thank the panelists and those watching today. It was my pleasure to serve as your moderator. As an active volunteer, I can say that giving you time is one of the most significant gifts that you can give. Mentoring with the Grizzlies Team Mentor Program has changed my life. It gives me another avenue to connect with my son who's at the school where I'm mentoring as well. And it just doesn't stop there. Anything that we can do out in the community, whether it's Mid-South Food Bank, sharing, addressing food shortages, speaking to young people out here in the communities and the streets about police athletic leads and MAM, all of those things connect. It's been such a pleasure to get involved in this city from the day I arrived 5 years ago. So when you talk about that, you know, it's one of those things that's important, and it changes your life and it changes the lives of people who you are impacting. So on behalf of the Grizzlies Foundation, I'd like to encourage you to also consider volunteering as a youth mentor. If you're interested in learning more about mentoring opportunities, visit grizzliesfoundation.org. But before we go, we have a special message we'd like to share with you and all the current volunteers.
Thank you, Memphis volunteers, for your service in our community.
Volunteers support organizations who are doing great work in the city and add to the capacity of organizations who are often functioning with limited resources.
Your volunteer service makes a big impact. Thank you.